This is Trax News here, and we're going to give you a summary of what's been going on in the end of May, first week of June. And you know it's been a hectic week. We're going to try to get to as many issues as possible. I'm going to start off with President Trump on Wednesday threatening to strongly regulate or even shut down social media platforms, okay, such as Twitter. Now, I don't know how hard he could twist their arm, but me personally, I'm happy that he's doing it, okay? You might have your opinion on Trump, you might have your opinion on Twitter, and that's really what Trax News is about. I'm going to get your voice, and we're going to have all of our voices out there. I'm going to give you mines, and the reality is that Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, they all have extraordinary leverage. They could all control a narrative. That's really why we're creating the Trax News organization, right? They need to be regulated to some degree. Now, you don't want Trump to regulate them, then you're going to have another type of problem, one thing or another. But me personally, I want them to have their arms twisted because we want to have free speech. I want to be able to tweet whatever I want. I don't need anybody fact-checking me because who's the fact-checker? What do they know that I don't know? That's my thoughts. Boris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I agree with a lot of what Max is saying, especially with reference to the public space. All these social media companies that we're all participating in, it's a new form of the public square. So the one issue is the question of free speech and free expression as it comes to the public square and the rights that are enshrined in our Constitution. But the other question is the rights of private corporations to be able to determine their own policies and who they allow and what kind of content that they allow in their private organization. So that's sort of my perspective on the issue.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's fair. I mean, you know, private corporation, what is the federal government going to tell it what it can do, what it can't do? But the federal government is not asking for anything crazy. It's just asking for people to not have their voices silenced by skewing it, because it could have an effect on, you know, the public reality, okay? You know, it can have an effect that if some voices are silenced about COVID, about Fauci, about this, about that, whatever it might be, it's going to have an impact on the nation. And the nation should have a say in the matter. And if the say, listen, everything comes down to being reasonable. Is it reasonable for, you know, for people's voices not to get silenced, to get suppressed because a bunch of left-wing, you know, people are running Twitter? Yes, it is reasonable. If other people might want to have a voice, and, you know, if I want to say this or that, I don't want an algorithm created by Mark Zuckerberg or somebody twisting my arm. I'd rather have their arms twisted by Trump. That's just me. So, you know, he signed an executive order on preventing online censorship, and I'm all happy for it. I don't want him to censor anything, right? Especially if it's, you know, information. So, of course, you know, the big story, George Floyd, and it's such a sensitive issue at this point of time. You know, I can't even hardly think of what to say about it. But the reality of the pent-up anger and, you know, this man being murdered in a brutal, disgusting way. This guy, you know, like some authoritarian standing on his neck, killing him. And then, you know, the protests turning into rioting and looting and things like that. I'll tell you one thing about the, you know, the rioting and looting. It's lightweight, okay, to be honest with you. I know you might not think it that way, but it's not the Mongols who are, you know, invading in New York City and stacking heads in Times Square. They're burning trash cans and they're breaking windows and they're stealing Louis Vuitton. Insurance companies going to have to take care of that stuff. The small business owners, my heart goes out to them if they don't have insurance. It's tragic, okay? But in all reality, that type of violence, in relative to what could happen when governments collapse and what could happen if in another wave of COVID, I think is relatively light. And there's a dark side to it, which I'm going to explain in a second. But the systemic racism and all this other stuff, I have my opinion on it, okay? You have yours, but yours, you don't really have yours. I'll give you news on that. Your mind is ultimately controlled by what everyone else is saying, systemic racism, or it's this or it's that. The reality is that this country has a problem. Its original sin of slavery has destroyed the ability of people to, you know, especially the descendants of those slaves to to build a comfortable life and pursue the American dream. And this guy, you know, lost in that sauce, God rest his soul, George Floyd, battling, as so many other people are battling the climb out of poverty and, you know, dealing with the problems of it all, you know, got caught up and was killed for it. And what should be done about it? Bricks through windows? Not really. What should be done is investment. Investment in low-income community. It's really another word for reparations, but you're not going to be able to get reparations through to some of these people. What you want to do is you want to be able to invest in low-income communities, and you should demand that investment. You know, they invest in so many things. Oh, the airlines are failing. Here's billions and billions of dollars. But, you know, and that's one thing, that's one of the reasons why I don't like President Obama, because he had the opportunity to really pull for the African American community and get them the investment that they needed, and he didn't do it. And that should be the narrative. Investment, investment, investment. Invest in low-income communities. Build stuff. Build better buildings. Employ them. Help build businesses. And get them, you know, get them paid for the labor that their ancestors invested in this organization. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, the only thing, I understand we have all different perspectives, and I completely respect Max's perspective on this issue. My perspective is Obama, I would agree with Max that he did not invest enough in the African American community. But if you look at unemployment rates, and there are certain things that aren't measured by society really, by GDP or unemployment rates, and those things are like now that every African American child is growing up in this country knowing that there was a black president and this is who he was and this is how he conducted himself and this is how he acted. He provided a really good example for his community of people. So that's the only counterpoint that I would make.
Examples are great. Money and investment is way better, right? You know what I'm saying? You can set an example, but if I'm stuck in the same situation, you know, it's not enough for me. Bill Gates microchip conspiracy theories. Listen, guys, you all have a microchip on you, all right? I'm not going to go into this Bill Gates shit, you know what I'm saying? Because this guy is investing money in places to help people, and you think that this dude giving out vaccines and all this other shit. I'm going to give my opinion on Trax News. I know you have a different one. If you want to contribute and you want to do this, you have the opportunity to do so. Read the description. You could put the news up. This was put up by somebody, by Tony Never Give Up, right? I mean, that's probably his IG or something like that. He put this article up and he's addressing some of these things. No one is putting a piece of shit microchip in you. We know where you are. We know what you type. We know what it is. You're using a phone that has all of your information already on it. No one's selling you a vaccine, okay? Bill Gates has more money than he could spend ever. He doesn't need to stick his neck out there to sell vaccines. All these theories are bullshit, right? It's just a bunch of nonsense, and it's too bad that anybody can't see it that way. Now, Anonymous. Anonymous they put up some sort of a crazy, wacky article with Jeffrey Epstein and Trump and, you know, molesting or raping or whatever it is. I don't know if that's a forged document or a real document or what have you. If you know, you let us know. But I wouldn't be able to say so, but it was very, very disturbing. The more information that's out there and we could clear it up, the better. That's all I could say about that. What I really want to turn your attention to is what happened in the Bronx last night, actually. Okay, I mean, you've seen this video. You take a look at just this first part of it with this police over. He's trying to make an arrest. And the brawl and the battle in the Bronx in the middle of the night. And the fires, you know, this was, look at this guy, just smashing it right in front of the police. When do you think that will ever happen? Mayhem, fires, mayhem, looting. That doesn't really do George Floyd much justice. But you know, I gotta be honest with you. If I was 18, 19 years old, I might have popped out and ran around. So the video cut off right there for a second because of the curfew, because of all these events, right? 8 p.m. I gotta be home in 20 minutes. You know, it's ridiculous. And why? Well, because of this.
The Bronx is sheer madness right now. What's happening there?
I haven't seen happen in any of the riots or in any of the looting in any of the cities at any other time. They slammed the car into a police officer, and God knows, you know, he has a family to go home to. How many bones are broken? Listen, let me tell you something right now. Right? Maybe if I was a kid, I would have been out there. I wouldn't have did something like that, you know? So I understand the kids. I want to understand people's point of view. I understand the people that are out there. They think it's a, you know what I'm saying, Disneyland, and they get to just steal free shit, insurance, whatever they're thinking. You know, it's disgusting, but don't get the idea that Trax News is anti-police, right? Because when push comes to shove and someone's banging on your door, you want someone to come help you out, right? Unless you have your own gun or this or that. You want some law and order in your society if you want to be productive. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not doing bullshit. I'm not stealing from a toy store. I'm building a business, and I don't want to be looted and robbed, okay? Because I'm doing the fucking hard work out here, hiring and being productive in society. If you want to have fine clothes, live in a normal home, and not live in squalor, you got to have a productive society, and you got to have law and order. And again, remember, it comes down to money. People need money. They need investment. It's the same thing that could have helped George Floyd, could have helped the store over here. Money invested in communities. It's really as simple as that. But nobody has the sense to figure that out. Trax News, an organization for the people, by the people. You want to upload stories to the news? We have a link for that on Trax News. Submit your post. Just click this button right here. Put in your data. I'll do a story on it. We'll get your voice out there. I want you to be able to have access to the news. I want you to earn shares of the organization. I want to build it. I want to monetize it. Watch the contract by clicking the link in the bio. Share this video. At your friends. Earn shares. Let's build an organization. Let's change the way this game's played.